started at Red Oaks? The,
No.
the fishing and the sledding and the, whatever. Is it
That was
starting?
with the old man when he and his buddy'd wanna catch some fish, why they'd go down to we had a big ice house where they stored, cut ice off the lake in the wintertime and stored it, used it in the summertime, of course.
Uh-huh.
So he'd go down there right in front of the ice house and throw a couple sticks of dynamite in the lake, and anything that came up, that was their fish. Nobody bothered in those days, that was a long time ago.
And you ate everything, right?
Huh?
You just ate everything.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't matter what.
Any fish that came up,
Yeah.
that was his fish, We used to do that overseas. We had these little blocks of TNT, and we'd wire a couple of them together and go down and go in the brackish bays, where the tide was in, there was water, high water, and the tide would go out, why there wouldn't be so much water in there. But we'd go down those brackish bays and drop a couple of them in there, and whatever came up, why we'd smash it with the board and take it in and have a big fish fry.
Really?
We'd take anything that had scales. If it had skin, we didn't mess with it because we didn't know what it was,
Okay.
But it was beautiful, you'd go out over the coral reefs in our little rubber boats, got all the black and orange and red and fish, and fish you couldn't believe they have that many colors. Really pretty.
How'd they taste?
Well, they tasted okay. If they had scales on them, we scaled them and ate them.
Uh-huh.
But mostly these were bigger ones that we'd keep in that big bay.
Oh.
How big would they be?
Oh, some of them would be 5-6 pounds, but we never caught anything any bigger than that. I remember going down, we used to go down there and take our bath right in the edge of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down there, and every time before I'd go in the ocean, I'd throw a couple rocks out there. And I threw a couple rocks out there, and a goddamn wave took off out of there. I never went in the ocean again. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was huge.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
When we were on a little island called Pavuvu in the Russells, and guys used to swim off the dock down there where they had the boats came in, but there got to be so many damn barracuda down there that they couldn't go in there anymore.
With the barracuda?
I don't think anybody ever was attacked, but just the idea that some of those barracudas, they get to be damn big.
Yeah. Don't they get to be like 5 feet long or something?
Oh yeah, like a big muskie or some damn thing.
Yeah.
If one of them really wanted to come up and take a bite out of your arm or your foot or your leg or something,
Right.
they could do a little damage.
Right. You'd definitely get an infection.
Oh, absolutely. And those teeth are just like razors
Mm-hmm.
cutting through there.
And they're long, they're like half-inch long.
Yeah, we used to see a lot of whales. We see whales out in the ocean, and of course a lot of dolphins that come by the ship,
Yeah.
jumping up
Oh.
alongside the ship, following you along.
Yeah.
They're pretty.
When you were on, was it Guantanamo Bay? Or,
No, God, that's in Cuba.
what the heck am I thinking?
Guadalcanal.
Guadalcanal, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Now, part of the story that I was reading last night, you had to get water down to the guys down at the beach or something
Oh, yeah.
at night, and there was some kind of a,
That was on Peleliu. We were on,
oh,
we got, somehow we got a group of us, were selected as stretcher bearers, So in the daytime, why we'd be up there with the guys, and when somebody got hit, why we'd go get them and drag them back and then take them down to, just below the banks there, the hill, and they had these little jeeps, and they had trays in there. They could put 4 guys in there, 2 guys on top, 2 guys on the bottom, and slide these things right in there, and they take them right down to the beach, put them on a boat, little boat, take them right out, and the hospital ships were sitting right out in the bay. So from the time some poor guy got hit till he got out to the hospital ship was probably 45 minutes or so at the most. Really, really taking good care of him,
mhm.
But at night, then we'd have to carry ammunition, water, and supplies up to the, food up to the guys on the line.
Mhm.
I remember one night I think there were about 10 of us in this group. We went up. We had a little path, a little trail that we followed, We went up and down that thing about 5 trips up, so that's 10 counting up and back. And in the morning on the last trip, somebody looks down and right in the middle of it is a damn mine. Nobody stepped on that for 5 trips.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's just sheer luck then.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you can't believe how lucky you can be. One day we were having some trouble. There was some Japs, and they wanted to send a bunch of us and get around behind them so that we'd be in front of them and behind them.
Mhm.
So they put us on one of those little bark landing boats, and this one happened to be one with a prow sharp. You know, some of them had where the whole open end fell down
Like a
and
jump,
walked right
okay.
out. Well, this didn't do that. You had to jump up. So we went around, got around behind them, and pulled a little boat up to the beach. And the first guy walks up in the front of the boat to jump off, and as he's in the air, looking down, he sees a goddamn mine there on the beach, and he straddled it, and it didn't go off because it's nice and soft, you know.
Oh, boy.
Didn't vibrate, but I mean, that's how close you can be to being dead. One time we were on a 1.5-ton truck, and went over one and it blew the dual wheels off, and nobody got killed. So I mean, you know, we were down at the beach one morning, where little ships would come in and unload supplies for us, you know. So they'd bring them in on these little boats, and we'd unload them and take them up to the trucks. So all of us are down there going back and forth. Here comes a goddamn torpedo sliding right up on the beach. Missed the ship and came sliding right up on the beach. We had a bunch of holes dug there. I dumped into a hole and about 5 guys on top of me, you know. But it didn't blow. It didn't explode because it had to
It has to
be
hit
a
something.
contact, I suppose, to, you know, make it go. It just slid up there, that's all. So, God, they didn't even have to go down there and bury the thing, you know, so.
Oh.
But I mean, that's how tenuous your life is, you know. I mean, you can be gone so fast. And the bombers used to come every day on Guadalcanal, they'd come about 11 o'clock in the morning. See a big
Japanese
big little-
bombers or?
Yeah, all they had was a big twin engine job. They didn't have big ones like we did. Twin engine bombers, and they'd come in, you'd hear them whining, moaning and groaning up there. And then all of a sudden the bombs would start coming down, and they start whistling and coming down, you know, boom, 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 boom. And every day you'd sit there and you'd hope, well, let's hope he starts that far away from me, so by the time he gets me, he's out of bombs. Or starts on the other side of the way, going away from me, you know. But then after the bombers were going, then the goddamn flak would start falling down, so that scary almost as much as the.
What's the flak?
Well, that's what we shot up at him. See,
Oh.
we had 90 millimeters anti-aircraft guns on the
Mhm.
island.
And so they were shooting almost straight up in the
Yeah,
air and then
absolutely. See, we were right next to the airport. You know, we had the hills behind the airport and the beach in front of the airport, and then we had a stretch of island about 3 miles long. This island is 90 miles long, so you imagine how much the Japs had.
Oh boy,
That's what we had.
oh boy.
We had that between the Tenaroo and the Mechanical Rivers.
And you were just there for the airport then?
Yeah, they wanted the airport. In fact, one night, they must have had a message that they were supposed to take the airport for sure, because about 10 or 15 little float planes came flying in. In Japanese float planes, they were going to land there. But I didn't see any one of them get shot down, but everything on the island was shooting at them. You know, in fact, we had a 50 caliber on a tripod in our area. The captain was shooting at him, but he didn't hit nothing either. He just wasted a lot of ammunition.
What's a float plane? Is it like a
He wanted
glider?
to land on water and land on dirt. You don't want to see a pontoon on it with the wheels on the bottom of the pontoon, so it can land in the water or else land on land, whichever they want, whichever they need.
Probably pretty slow and cumbersome too.
Oh yeah, they were not very fast at all. I thought we were going to hit it. I thought he was holding right in front of a couple of them, and they didn't seem to come down. So
There was, one of the stories was, there was some kind of a truck or tractor type thing that was.
amphibians, yeah.
Yeah.
They were they'd go on water or they'd go on land too. They had tracks on them. And of course, if you hit something on a log or something, they'd throw the track right away. They were miserable things. I think they had a 37 millimeter cannon on them. That's the only thing they had. And the 37 millimeter isn't very big, but it's something, you know. But,
Sure.
but it isn't not like a regular cannon. Yeah. We were taking water up there that night too. We just got back and said the guys are out of water. You got to bring some up there. So we throw a bunch of water cans on this amphib and take off up the trail, and the big ridges up here on us, this side of us, and the swamp is over here on this side of us, and then across the swamp over on the beach are our guys. So we stop on this trail right here between the swamp and the ridge and start carrying our water cans. We sling our rifles, of course, and water can in each hand through the swamp. And about the time we're going back and forth, so nothing's not organized. You're not organized. Everybody's taking his own trip. So about the second time we were going through there, where the damn mortars started to drop in there, you know, but...
The Japanese were trying to get you?
Oh, yeah, they were up on the ridge dropping their mortars in it. But the nice part of it was kind of swampy, muddy ground, so they were sinking in the ground and blowing up. So there wasn't as much shrapnel flying around, you know, it was mostly mud and some... Anyway, somehow I got trapped in the middle that one trip, and I heard the goddamn Amtrak started up and going back. And I'm out there with 2 cans of water and nobody's around, you know. I'm all alone. So I know, you know, I'm not going to stay out there all night long. Just shells had stopped coming in.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City was our call that night. So I started crawling towards our lines, crying out, Salt Lake City, Salt Lake City. Finally some guy says, okay, he says, come on in. I said, well, I said, pass the word. I don't want one of you jokers shooting me when I'm coming in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I crawled over there, and somebody gave me a shovel, and I dug in for the night.
Well, if you were bringing them water,
Yeah.
how did they not know you were coming?
Well, they knew we were coming, but see, this was
But every
after
time you brought water in,
everybody bailed out, see, and I was the only one left there.
Oh, okay,
I was all alone,
okay,
so I didn't know what they knew, whether they knew,
right. They wouldn't be able to.
what they were expecting, so
Better to be safe than sorry.
Oh God, oh geez, shit, it was crazy, you know, especially on Peleliu, because we'd push forward as far as we could in the daytime, and then at night, when it started to get dark, we'd fall back to where we could dig in. You couldn't dig in the coral; it was like rocks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to fall back to where there was ground or sand or something where you could dig in. So everything was all mixed up, you know. Nobody knew what was going on. Japs would be wandering around at night. They didn't know where the hell they were supposed to be. I remember we started to dig, instead of digging foxholes, well, we started to dig trenches. I'd lean up against this end. My buddy had faced me, faced me, you know. And then we watch over each horizon over each other's heads, so that we could, because they could. I remember couple nights when they wandered around, just single Jap. One night somebody threw a knife at one and hit him in the leg. And he laid there and screamed all damn night long, you know. And I knew a kid, only 2 guys I knew from Minnesota, one from Duluth, and the one kid from Robbinsdale, his name was Myers, he got killed. But he was laying in his foxhole one night, and the Jap came and jumped in the damn foxhole with him. And they wrestled and fought around for a while, and the guy Jap jumped out and ran away. But I mean, that's crazy, you know, nobody knows what's going on.
It's funny, how come, why do you think neither of them pulled the trigger on each other?
Well, I suppose he probably wasn't laying there with it in his hands, but you know, some guy jumps in and
Scare the
foxhole
crap
with
out
you.
of
Why, it's kind of a surprise. You don't exactly sit there and lay there and
Yeah.
say, I'm going to shoot this sucker or something.
Neither one of them wanted to die.
No, hell no.
It's awful gutsy for the Japanese to jump in.
Well, they didn't. Yeah,
Just didn't
they
know?
They didn't know where we were, and we didn't know where they were. You know.
Do you think it's
As I
possible
say,
he
it
was
was-
walking along and fell in at all?
Oh, he might have. But anyway, he ended up in the same foxhole.
And do you know how that Myers kid died then?
No, I don't. I was going to try to contact his people, but I didn't have anything of his, or
Right.
I thought, well, shit. like when I came home, I thought maybe that did make it worse for him.
Yeah.
So I didn't, I knew he's from Robbinsdale, but I didn't try to contact him like that.
In one of the pictures that we looked at yesterday, you had a colt that you said that was young, that it only lived like a year or something?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember where you got that, or how, what was the story?
One of our horses had the colt. Dad just said, hey, you know, you can have the colt. So, I mean, I made a pet out of it, followed me around like a dog, and kind of funny. It was really a nice little colt, too. They only had him for one summer.
But then it must have gotten sick or something?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell could have happened to him. You know, in those days, they didn't have a lot of vets or anything. I mean, maybe you could see there was something wrong with it, maybe, I don't know. I had a pig once, too, you know, believe it or not, a pig. It was like a pet. He used to swim, go swimming with us. You know, I never had a use for the dumb thing, but this one was strange. He really weird.
Thought he was a human.
Yeah, he wanted to swim. He was swimming in the lake.
You've had some strange pets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The little
The
blind mouse.
the pet pig.
Yeah.
Did you, you always called our dad Gus, did you call any of the other kids any pet names like that other than their middle names?
No, I don't think so.
How did it come about that you started calling Dad Gus, do you think?
Well, I don't know why that was. You know, see, he was kind of named after Grandpa Casilius, you know. That was, Grandpa Casilius was August Casilius.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Mother named me after her brother, or my middle name was her brother's name. And I suppose Gus got that from his grandpa, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you don't remember specifically how that came about, where you just decided
I started on doing that. I don't know. I guess it was just different. I liked it or something. He got to be used to it too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did you think of anything last night that you thought might be good historically to mention for future generations, or or anything that you remembered that you thought that jarred your memory last night?
Not really, I guess.
Do you remember anything?
Not really. I wanted to hear more about life on Red Oaks. Just the fishing, and do you have any good fishing stories?
Oh God, we used to, in the wintertime, we didn't even have chisels. We'd go out there with an axe. You imagine chopping a hole through the ice with an axe, because by the time you get down to the water, your damn thing is about this big on top.
Right.
And it's real little on the bottom. We used to fish in the wintertime out there too.
And it didn't seem to bother the fish that much as far as pounding on the ice like that? And
Oh, I don't know. It didn't seem to. I don't
you caught fish, apparently, or you wouldn't have kept doing it.
But you know, there's always a noise on the lake. You know, there's always ice cracking and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think it maybe bothered them that much. Because of the chisels, you know, it was a lot of work. But of course, when they came out with the augers, it was so much easier. You know, it was murdered. I just remember some of those chisels. We'd be down 3 feet with it before you hit with water, in the cold winter.
Did your whole family fish? Did Jenny and Doug fish too?
I don't know. I don't think they did so much. I remember, you know, Pat and I don't know, Bob too. I suppose he used to fish a little bit. I think I was the one that did the most of it. You know, this old guy that used to have a cottage down there taught me how to catch crappies that don't want to be caught. We'd go out over the weed beds, and you'd look down, and they'd have little holes, you know, right down to the bottom. You'd sit there and snag them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good trick.
Yeah. Not as good as the dynamite, but
Yeah.
that was even more effective.
What was Prairie Lake like when you lived there? You
Well,
said you were
the
about a
lake was
mile
in
from
real
it?
good shape then, you know, it was high.
Uh-huh.
But afterwards, during the dry years, some of the bays that we're used to fishing actually were dry to just mud. Really, the only big thing left was the big bays, like different lakes almost.
Hmm.
But a lot of islands, there were several islands that came up, and the lake came back, and God, people built houses on those little shallow bays and stuff. I wonder what would ever happen to them if they get into a dry spell again.
Yeah.
They're gonna sit there and look at mud flats. Now, of course, it's, all big power boats and everything out there.
What was the town like of Prior Lake?
365 people. It was, I remember we didn't have a movie theater even. There used to be a touring group that would come in once a month or something and put on a couple plays for us. Dewey and Flo.
Dewey and Flo?
Yeah?
Was it a husband and wife, or?
Yeah, right. And then of course Dewey, his big saying was, "I hope you like it because you're going to get it whether you like it or not." But that was in the old town hall. They'd have it. Had stage in there and stuff. And boy, they used to pack it right up to the gills, anything for entertainment. Then in the spring sometimes a guy'd come around with old serial westerns, 10 cents, you'd get in there, black and white film, 10 cents for each chapter.
Oh, really?
And every night he'd have another chapter.
Was it like a little booth then or something, or what was it?
Huh?
How did you view it?
It was just chairs sitting in the town hall and the camera setting up and back.
Oh, really?
And it's being a white screen in front there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was our entertainment. Oh, I tell you what, we had a guy came out there as a school teacher, Louis D. Peterson, and he was a wrestler, and he used to put on wrestling shows, and he also starting a boxing program, sent teams to the Golden Grubs and stuff in the cities and everything, so all the kids were boxing and all this stuff in the wintertime, so we started to have a little more, few things going for us. In fact, Louis D. Peterson was a friend of, my dad was a friend, of his, and he was also the timekeeper, and of course, when they're putting on their shows, and God, the old man would ring the bell, get Louis D. out of trouble and stuff like that. In fact, I went out to Credit River a couple of years ago. I don't know who went with us that time. Anyway, looking for Grandpa Farrell's graves and stuff like that. And by damn if I didn't find Louis D.'s headstone out there.
Wow.
He taught school there in that little old red brick schoolhouse of ours.
Do you remember it was a boxer, he was an Irishman, kind of nationally renowned by the name of Sullivan?
My Sullivan?
I don't remember
Yeah.
his first name, but the thing was, I shook the hand that shook the hand that shook the hand of so-and-so Sullivan. I saw it on PBS, I don't remember what the deal was, but it was some really braggish, really big Irishman that...
Yeah, it must have been My Sullivan. There was, of course, the Flanagan brothers came along much later, many years later. I used to go to all the fights. They used to have fights down here every month almost. There was a little guy from Austin, his name was Jackie Graves, little left-hander. Boy, could he fight. He was about a flyweight. But they'd
Was
have
that bare knuckle or was that with gloves?
No, this was
Gloves.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if you know anything about boxing, but a guy named Willie Pep at one time was a flyweight champion, supposedly the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, and he fought Graves and stuff, but boys, he had some bloody battles down there. And it was pretty interesting in those days.
You never did a whole lot of boxing yourself?
Oh yeah, quite a bit.
You did?
Over in St. Paul. We used to box over at there was a ham building over in St. Paul, and Gibbons. I don't know if you ever heard of the Gibbons fighters.
Mm-mm.
Well, they were pretty good too. They were heavyweights. Anyway, they had a gym down in the basement of the ham building, and we'd have bouts down there about once a month, and all the guys I hung out with were in it, you know, they'd all go down there. And they would go around the smokers, these businessmen that have smokers, and they'd have 4 or 5 matches for them, you know, and give you $5 or maybe $3 or $4 how much money they had. It was pretty interesting, yeah. Some of the kids got to be pretty good. Some of the kids went down to Chicago and fought in main events down there, so, you know. In fact, this kid, Orv McCann, I mentioned about the cars with and stuff, he was good enough to be he was in the Army. He was a champion of his division in the Army. He was a good little fighter.
Hmm. He made it through the war? Do you know?
Yeah, he just, when Nixon was elected president, he was sitting there with his son watching television, watching the election return. His son said he gasped once and he was dead.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Funny part of it was his 3 brothers, Norm and Orv and Harold, and every one of them died of a heart attack. So there's something in the family, I
Right.
guess. You know.
Sure.
We found out later that fourth of Dad's heart never did work. From birth, they said.
The what?
That our dad, apparently a quarter of his heart never did work.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, or didn't work right.
Well, God, didn't he lose a kidney or have trouble with a kidney from when he's jumping?
Yeah, I think he only had one kidney.
I think so.
Really? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, he had kidney surgery. They took
Yeah.
one out.
I think he got hurt when he was jumping.
Ski jumping?
Yeah.
Ski jumping? Hmm.
I don't know whether he came down on it or a ski hit him or some damn thing.
Well, kidney problems must run in the family.
Yeah. Let's hope it doesn't run too far.
Yeah.
Well, Doug's wife has had kidney stones too.
Yeah, I heard that. I'll probably have to ask her about that.
It never got passed on to any of your kids?
Not that I know of, you know, but of course I was far from being a kid. I was a lot older than Don is when I had my first attack. I didn't know what the hell it was, you know. Shit, I was hoping I could die that time. I was crawling around on the floor. God, I couldn't imagine that agony that thing was. But that was the time that what they did then, they cut you from back here all the way down here to get at your kidneys. See, can't get at your kidneys. There's a nerve that goes down there, and they got to stretch a goddamn thing to work on it. And believe me, for 6 weeks after that sucker, man, that hurt. I think I was off at least for a month before that time.
And you must have had some big compacted stones then or something.
No, I don't know. The only one I saw was one that looked like had
Spikes on
little
it.
splines or legs all over the damn thing. It wasn't about to pass, that's for sure.
And was that one that they removed from the inside, or did you end up having to,
No, they got that from
Overflow.
inside.
oh boy, how big was it?
I don't know, it was pretty damn big, I
Oh
remember
my
that.
God.
But I had a bigger one once. I had a really big one once. I know that I put it in the envelope and showed it was when last time I had them, where they're putting me on the laser machine.
Mm-hmm.
This big bloody thing came up one morning, and then I put it in an envelope and showed the lady out at the doctor's. She says, "That's a boulder." She says, "That's not a
No
stone."
kidding.
Oh,
So it was
goodness.
big.
Oh,
Well, I'm kinda lucky then, cause mine have all been pretty small. It's just that I'll pass 6 or 9 of them at a time. And only 2 of them have been kinda coral-like.
Yeah.
Most of them were smooth stones.
Oh,
And
that's,
small, I mean,
yeah.
but if you get 6 or 9 of them going, it's more when it's going through the ureter than the,
Well,
that's where it is.
what was it? He put me on a laser machine twice. I figured that's going to be the solution. They couldn't break them up. I passed rocks and stones and sand for Christ's sake for a month, and the last day the doctor pulled out 8 more.
Oh, really?
So I was really loaded that time.
I hope mine don't get like that.
I hope so too, because boy, I tell you, to wake up in the night and feel a little pain down there, I'd just about faint. God, I knew what I was in for. Yes.
Well, trying to think of what else we can ask.
That malaria is the only thing that's ever bothered me, you know.
Malaria
Oh, of course, everybody had malaria.
in the service?
We had quinine at first until the Japs captured them, you know, Malaysia into there where all the quinine came from. Then they invented a little pill called, what the hell, Ativan, little yellow pill. And it tasted so horrible you couldn't hardly stand it, so guys wouldn't take it, they'd throw it away, you know, and so then that finally, when you went through the chow line, the corpsman would throw it in your mouth. So you had much choice. I remember I knew a guy from Maine, his name was Herbie Hanscom. He couldn't swallow anything like that, so he had to chew it up, so that was really horrible. If you happen to leave one in your pocket and we used to wash our own clothes, you know, in the creek and stuff, it'd dye your whole jacket on that side.
Wow.
Turned it
Yellow?
all yellow, so I don't know what the hell they had. When I came home back from overseas, I had it intact. We were living on 7th Street, and of course my mother got really excited, called it. Old Chamberlain, we had a little air thing out there, and they had a little hospital, and so they hauled me out there. I had to spend 10 days out there. But there were about 3 or 4 other guys that had come back with me. They were out there too, so.
What's it like to have malaria?
First
happens?
day you get fevers and chills. First you're hot, burning up, and then you're cold, freezing. You can't cover up enough. Second day you're probably okay. The third day is worse. And it progresses like this about every other day until about a week. A couple times I've been out for a day with it. You know, lose a whole day. I didn't know what was going on. One was out at Old Chamberlain, one was in Brisbane, Australia. But you're just shaking with it, just so freezing, and the next moment you're just drenched with sweat. Of course, you're nauseated and stuff like that too. But I mean,
And is that only passed by mosquitoes, or can you get it through
Yeah.
the water? Just mosquitoes?
all mosquitoes, yeah.
Wow.
We had we had this liquid that the 612, I think they gave us. And you rub that on, and it worked real good, you know. See what they used to do. What they used to do is overseas on the islands, you had 3 guys, and bought 3 guys around camp, you know, about 4 or 5 different places, and they'd be on watch all night. And you'd listen to those goddamn mosquitoes screaming around your ears all night.
And you just smear that stuff on you?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
but boy, I mean, they would never leave you alone. They just, if they didn't land, they'd still bizz by and make that noise.
Drive you nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, makes you crazy.
yeah, we'd go out there and set up our machine gun and carry our pistols and our rifles with us. We were well armed. One day, as I say, they used to bomb us about noon every day, and we were right next. All our gas was in 50-gallon drums, and it was just above where our camp was. And they started dropping. They hit in that damn 50-gallon drums. Those goddamn drums were all blowing up. We were up there rolling out the ones that were still, you know, okay, rolling them away from the ones that are
Burning.
blowing up. And all of a sudden, one of them next to me blew up, and I looked up, I saw that black, red, rolling smoke. Boy, if you think I could move, I moved that time. God, that still scares me when I think about that one. But that's the only way to save our gas, you know. Shoot, they were burning Jap gas on their airplanes and their trucks and everything else. And yeah, there was some real air fights there. I mean, the Japs had come in with their fighters and stuff, and the guys I think it was the Hornet, carrier Hornet got sunk in the South Pacific, and they sent the planes from the Hornet into the island. And it was a nice airplane for planes, because the Japs have been working on it for a long time. So those guys would be they're fighting those I think I saw one day when they shot about 18 out of 20 Jap planes down that came over.
Wow.
You know,
From
guys,
the carrier did that
no,
before it
no,
went
those,
to-
those the guys from the carrier.
Oh.
They were based on the canal at the time. Joe Foss, who was later the mayor of South Dakota or something, was one of the aces. A guy named Carl. A lot of aces they had. It was ace, believe me, boy. In fact, the
They
first
were
Jap,
shooting
first
them.
Jap I ever saw was when we were getting unloaded on the Guadalcanal, and he came by, a torpedo bomber flew right by our ship, and I could see him. I
Oh,
could
boy.
even see he had a mustache.
Wow.
No kidding.
And of course, goddamn, everybody was shooting at everything then, you know. I mean, you weren't safe any place. It was coming right through the sides of this damn steel plates on the ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty. Things are so confused at first you can't believe it. I mean, like our old sergeant says, password tonight is lollipop, but by the time you get lolly out, your body better be popping on the ground or some idiot's going to be shooting you.
Jeez.
See, one of the first nights we were there, me and two other guys were with me, and the others were strung out around us. We were on watch, and the coconut trees at night, the branches break off the coconut trees and come crashing down. God, every one of them just about blows your mind because you think the Japs are coming after you. You don't know what's going on. So been out there a couple hours, it was just about past midnight, and the guy the next post comes running down. Says, "Get the hell out of here." He says, "The Japs are coming." So, I know it's a general court-martial if you leave the post. So the two guys with me took off. I stayed there. But here comes a goddamn herd of cows barreling through the stupid coconut grove. You know, that was what they figured the Japs, they were making a lot of noise. It was the cows. So I spent the rest of the night out there all alone, jeez, shaking in my boots. And the funny part was we were in this coconut grove, and with the coconut trees, the roots are all over, you know, you can't dig in them hardly. It's digging, you just scratch a little hole to kind of get yourself below the surface of the earth. And fortunately, there was a little rise right next to us. And over on the side of us was the 11th Marines, which is their artillery regiment. And they got their machine guns set up, and they got a field in front of them, and every once in a while they sprayed the field at night, because just taking a chance.
Sure.
So here we're sleeping there, and at night we were dug in this little shallow holes, and one of our guys wakes up, and the 11th Marines is sweeping this field with the machine guns, and he don't know what it is, but he jumps up with his rifle and starts shooting at the 11th Marines. Well, of course, when they saw that, they don't know who he's shooting at. They're not going to take that kind of crap anyway, so they wheel the goddamn machine guns on and start working over us. And we're down here, and if you're laying right flat in the ground and you're under in this little depression, the bullets are about that far, tracers are about that far above your head,
Oh,
burning into the trees, you know. So,
Oh,
your own guys are going to kill you, you know.
Right.
But fortunately, they got straightened out. We were going to lynch that sucker the next day. Really weird how confused and screwed up things can be.
Did you guys ever do anything with those cows, that cattle? Did you eat them?
No, they said they had TB, we couldn't use them.
Oh.
But when they'd be wandering around at night and some fool would shoot one, so next morning he got the shovel, he got to bury it.
Right. Okay.
But no, but they did have some horses too. And Tommy, my friend, finally after about 3 days managed to capture one of the horses. So this idiot from Carolina or somewhere says, "I was a jockey." He says, "I'll ride that goddamn horse." That stupid horse took about 2 jumps and threw him off and was gone. Poor Tom didn't have a horse anymore. They had trucks and few cars, So we took one of the cars, but I don't know, somehow the steering was so that you could only turn it one way. It wouldn't go straight. It would make a big circle. That never worked.
It was a
good either.
Jeep or something?
But I remember two of our two of our officers, I think they were both lieutenants at the time, they got a Japanese fire engine that they had. They'd have a big time squirting people with that thing when they got to working. A couple of kids, one of them was a Maine guy from Maine. He was a potato farmer up there, Joe Harrington. He came down to our reunion at Myrtle Beach one year. That was nice down there, though. Geez, I didn't. This was 25 years after. I never expected to see any of those guys again. So that was nice.
Do you know who planned it? Who
Yeah, I
organized
think
it?
that was more McMichaels or probably Margaret. She probably wrote most of the letters. He kept in real good touch for quite a while until they all started to die off, and then I guess I haven't heard from any of them now for quite a while. I know my friend Tommy. I don't know. I told you. Well, he was a big, powerful man.
Yeah.
And he, what was it, after one of our reunions or something, he got a pain in his stomach, and I know they called me and told me about it, and that in a week he was dead, whatever, he must have had cancer or dead or something.
It almost seems unfair that if you live through a war like that,
Yeah.
that you eventually...
Yeah. Remember, we used to rent horses in Brisbane and ride them, and he was such a big son of a gun. He stood up in the stirrups one day, and the stirrup broke, and he knocked down a goddamn tree that was about that big. And he got barreled off.
The horse went phew.
Yeah, it didn't bother the horse. Probably was a relief. That was another good one we had. We were when they took us off the canal. They took us not into Brisbane, but about 20 miles north of Brisbane, in an old army camp. And we didn't even have tents, or we didn't have anything. They just stuck us out there in the woods. So we went around and we were tearing tents down. Right, the army guys were sleeping in them, and we were tearing them down, stealing them on them. So one day we took one of the jeeps out of the water pool. We were in Brisbane at the time. We went down to there was a resort on the ocean called Southport. So we went down there, and the Army MPs started to chase us in a truck, and of course they couldn't catch us. But we went down by the beach and sat down there, and I don't know, just some girls involved and stuff. And so anyway, we decided to go, and here tide had come in. The goddamn water was up even with the floorboards on the Jeep. So I told J.R. Walden was driving. I said, "Be sure you got that sucker in four-wheel drive." "Oh yeah, it's in four-wheel drive." He dug that sucker right into the goddamn boat.
Oh.
And we couldn't even get it out then, pushing and everything. So then we hired some fisherman that was there fishing on his little truck to drive us back to Melbourne, or to Brisbane. So we went back to Brisbane, we stole another Jeep, went back out to get the one that was still in the ocean, pulled it out of the ocean, pulled it into town, changed the oil a couple times because it wasn't running very good, because of salt water in it. So finally we got it back to the motor pool, didn't get caught, and somebody said later on, the sergeant said, "What the hell happened to this Jeep? How did it get all this goddamn salt water in it?" So it was wrecked.
Oh boy.
Did you ever get put on any bad duties for misbehaving at all?
Oh, yeah, I
Like
had
peeling
40
potatoes or something?
I got 40 days on there. 40 days I had to make up at the end.
For when you went to go visit Pat before?
I was messing around,
Oh, for messing
We
with it?
we were Liberty Hounds, when the day was done and Liberty call came, we were gone.
Well, what did you do? How'd you get in trouble?
Well, I stayed stayed out of camp for a couple of weeks. Some guy stayed there. Bill, I don't know what the hell his name was. Bill somebody. He didn't even join us when we left Melbourne. He stayed there. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Wow.
And where was Melbourne?
Melbourne? That was South Australia. That was nice. That was temperate zone. That was a beautiful place. God, the people were so good to us, you know. And well, even they were terrific. But the ones in New Zealand couldn't believe it. You go downtown in New Zealand. We were in Wellington. People invite you up to their house for supper. I remember going. I went with this one girl. They invited me up to their, served me breakfast in bed.
Oh,
Whoa.
I can't believe that. Goddamn bum who worked in the filling station or something, you know. Yeah, they were terrific, man. I treated you so good.
That must have felt pretty good after
Oh,
all
yeah.
the hard times you
Yeah.
had.
You know, they were. Yeah, we even got caught in a earthquake in New Zealand, and woke up one night. We were living in tents, and I had little cots, you know. My cot was jumping all over the place, and I thought some drunk was trying to dump me out of my cot. You know, some joker coming.
Yeah.
I go out and everybody's running up and down the company street in their long johns. First earthquake anybody'd seen.
Yeah. Yeah, especially you Minnesota boys, huh?
No.
So do you remember what you did on your 2 weeks off in Australia?
Oh yeah. I just didn't go back. That's all.
He's pretty tight-lipped about that.
Yeah.
I see that.
We'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah. Well, we got, our whole outfit was reorganized in Australia. I mean, re-outfitted from road, went overseas with World War I equipment.
Yep.
And got all new stuff, everything. I mean, new weapons, Tommy guns, rifles, machine guns, everything. And besides a lot of replacements, of course.
What was your battalion, or what were they called? Not the number, but were you,
Just a rifleman.
oh, you were a rifleman. And then there were artillery units?
Yeah.
Is that how it was
So,
broken
a
down?
Marine division, an Army division is probably, say 8,000 men or something. But a Marine division is about 15,000 men. Because besides, you have the first division was the 1st, the 5th, and the 7th regiments. Those were just soldiers, or ground pounders.
Mm-hmm.
And attached to that was the artillery. The 11th was the artillery, and then you have all the battalions that you have attached. You have amphibious, you have special weapons, headquarters, it's a little army all in itself. It's almost self-contained, you know. I mean, you have everything. All supporting units are all part of the division.
But then transport, you have to use like the Navy and the Air Force.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
well, actually, it's a part of the Navy. Is all it is.
It is.
The
huh?
Marines?
I mean, in Marines, yeah, they're just what I don't know what you'd want to call them. The Fleet Marine Corps is what Fleet Marine Corps is what you were. That's we were just a division of the Navy.
And the Navy was a big part of the hospital. A lot of their, what do they call them?
Corpsmen,
The medics or,
Corpsmen.
yeah,
Yeah.
they watch
They
out
were
for the
Navy
Marines a lot.
personnel, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think
And they
a
were
friend.
permanently attached to each unit.
Oh, they were.
Oh yeah, you had the same doctor. Every battalion would have at least a battalion, or maybe a company even, would have a doctor, and then they'd have the corpsman. I don't know how good the doctors were, but corpsmen were usually pretty good.
Well, maybe they were West Point grads or something.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how they. I really never had anything to do with the doctors, so I don't know. But we all had like jungle rot and shit. I don't know if you ever heard that. But I saw guys being shipped home with their whole arms on the board, and just skin and whatever falling off. I mean, it just,
Oh, really?
just jungle rot is all it was.
Was it like gangrene or?
No, it was just an infection of some kind, I suppose. I don't know. They used to just paint them purple with some kind of crap. I don't know if it helped or not, but some of them were so bad that they evidently couldn't. They had to ship them out. Almost everybody had some of it, but not much, you know.
Wow.
But some of them got it pretty bad.
So did you ever get a serious injury?
No, not really.
Start running out of, maybe what we'll have to do is when we go and tackle Uncle Doug and Aunt Jenny,
I'll talk to him. I'll call him and get,
And
see if we
Butch
can
and
set up
stuff.
something with Butch.
yeah, and
Because
we'll,
Butch can give you a lot of, he can give you a lot more information about the Pharaohs.
maybe what we'll do then is things come up, if we have other questions somewhere down the line and stuff, if they remind us, if they tell us stories, maybe we can reconfirm stuff with you sometime. Just keep doing it until we get it done. That's an awful long, you're 1,000 years old, so I mean, it's.
Sometimes it seems that bad, and sometimes it doesn't.
That's a lot to remember. I was trying to think of that last night, that if someone was asking me, you know, even about confirmations or weddings, there's just a whole lot of stuff I don't really recall.
Well, you know, you remember you said the first time I saw your mother,
Yeah,
you know, I didn't even remember, for Christ's sake, that out at the farm where they were married. That's where we all were, you know, when Bob and what were married. It was out at one of the Swabers out there.
Grandma and Grandpa's farm, yeah.
And one of the, I don't know where, but, you know, now I can remember it very well. I couldn't even connect it at the time.
Was that the first time you met her, do you think, too?
I
or-
suppose, yeah, I didn't.
Here's my wife. This is my brother. That must have been kind of odd. I'll pause this so we don't leave you on the air forever. Say goodbye, Uncle Bill.